What's up, guys? It's Jeremiah with Modern Protector, and welcome back to another Modern Protector video. This is one that I've been really excited to do for quite a while. This is the comparison between the Glock 43X MOS and the Shadow Systems CR920X. Both of these guns have been guns that I've been contemplating getting as a concealed carry gun for quite a while. And I had my heart set on the Glock 43X MOS. I'll let you guys get a little good close look at current this. Red dot I have on here is the 407K X2, and it does have the, I believe those are handle it grips on the frame. And then the Shadow Systems CR920X is wearing the EPS carry. Both of these guns are empty. Neither of them have rounds in the chamber. This gun, the Shadow Systems, comes stock with a 15-round magazine. This gun comes stock with a 10-round magazine, but you can get a 15-round magazine from Shield Arms magazines. And what we're going to do today is we're going to shoot these two side by side and see which one I feel would be the better concealed carry gun for me. Experienced some malfunctions with Winchester white box ammo, so never have any malfunctions with my Glock. But we're going to shoot this one today. I do have a mix of Winchester and Federal 9mm ammo, and we've got a different variety of drills. This is a concealed carry gun, guys. I bought these guns with concealed carry in mind, so with that being said, I do have this set up as a concealed carry rig right now. I do have regular jeans. These are Wranglers from Walmart, nothing special. Wearing my 511 combat boots that I absolutely love. I've got my T-Rex Arms appendix rig here. Let me show you guys this. I think y'all have already seen it, but that is the T-Rex Arms sidecar. And huge shout out to 2A Brotherhood for sending me this shirt. I absolutely love Second Amendment type apparel. Shirts that say come and get it, shirts that say Second Amendment, shirts that say shall not be infringed. But this shirt came to me. I actually joined their school group, and it's SKOOL school, and they were doing a giveaway, and I won 2 shirts in the giveaway. So pretty excited about them. They fit phenomenally. I'll drop a link below so you can check out what they have in their inventory, but they're great shirts. Flows right over my concealed carry weapon. Nice. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the shooting. We've got the first drill coming up for the Glock 43X MOS. Now these are a shrunk down target. They're not very big. You can see the size compared to me. They're about the same size as my body. So hopefully these are targets that I can keep the rounds on. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into the first drill. And this is 3 rounds on the beat. All right, that was an overall time of 2:44. I do like to be able to take these shots within 3 seconds. And I've got one shot here, here, and here. And basically what I did with that was load the recoil up. Let's do that just a couple more times and see how we do on our time. Here we go. That was a 210. All 3 of those were low around the 7 bar, but let's give it one more shot. All right, that was a 236. Being able to do this in under 3 seconds isn't something that should be kind of difficult. It should be pretty easy for anyone that's got any kind of weapons handling skills. Being able to draw from concealment. One thing I'll say about that is if you want to draw, a good thing that I do is right where my gun sits, I'll grab the shirt right there with just a fistful of shirt, take it up and out of the way. At the same time, I'm putting my hand on my gun, so this motion looks like this. If I go from an up position, I'm going to draw. Both hands are moving. I've already got my hand in a firing grip. So that action goes draw for the shirt, the gun, it's out, present. And one more time, it's down, up, out, present. And if I did that all in one smooth motion, it goes boom, boom. All right. So let's give it one more shot, see if I can beat that 3 seconds, and try to keep the grouping just a little closer. Here we go. All right, that was a 202. Anyhow, here's what we're going to do. We're going to move to the next drill, and this is going to be a 5-yard bill drill. So 6 rounds at 5 yards. Here we go. All right, and that was an overall time of 3.4. I actually like to be able to do that in under 3 seconds as well. We're going to give it one more shot. Here we go. We got one more bill drill. All right, and that was a 337, so it was a little bit slower. But overall, the gun shoots really well. I really like that setup, the 43X with the hollow sun and the Streamlight. It feels really good in my hand, and I can really appreciate those handle it grips because they really add a lot to the texture on that gun. You can really get a nice firm grip on it. One thing that I love about the 43X over the original 43 is just this little bit of extra that the X provides, because the regular one stops right about where my second finger is there. And so I don't have any grip with my pinky without adding an extra magazine. And the magazine capacity on the regular 43 is actually just a 6 round, I believe 6 or 7. It's less than 10, that's for sure. And we get 10 out of the Glock. So, let's go ahead and get set up for our next drill. So this is a modified bill drill, advancing forward from the beep. Here we go. Ready? 6 rounds on target. All right, got an overall time of 4:28. I had to stabilize myself a little bit better while I was walking, but not a bad deal. Still worked out pretty good. Let's change mags and give that one more shot. So, modified bill drill while we're advancing forward. All right, here we go. All right, got a 395 on that one, so it's a little bit quicker. What I really like about the way this gun feels in my hand, and just obviously overall with its size, is it's a very lightweight package. Now, I did do a class, had a class out here where I was teaching some realtors, and I let some newer shooters who have never held many guns. They had the one gun that they brought out with them, whether it was a Glock 19 or a Glock 43, and I let them hold side by side the Shadow Systems and the 43X. Both of them that held it, two ladies that were newer to shooting, they both said, "Oh, this Shadow Systems feels lighter than the Glock 43." And I had the Shadow Systems loaded and the 43 was empty, and I had the flashlight on the Shadow System. So I don't know, maybe it was just their untrained feeling, but they thought that the Shadow Systems was considerably lighter than the Glock, although in my hand, I can't really feel much of a difference because to me, the weight of a gun is the weight that it needs to be in order to perform the job that it needs to perform. Same thing with my rifles. I set my rifles up, and whatever they weigh is what they weigh. Obviously, I try to keep them lightweight. But anyhow, let's go ahead and move into this next drill, and we'll finish it out with the last drill of the Glock 43X MOS. All right, guys, we're out here at the 5-yard line for the final drill with the Glock 43X MOS. These are the same drills that I'm going to be running with the Shadow Systems. So what we're going to do from 5 yards, I've got the 3 targets set up. We're going to draw. We're going to present to the middle target first, fire 1 round, go to the left, fire 2 rounds, go to the right, fire 3 rounds, go back to the middle, and fire 4 rounds. So this is a 10-round drill, and it's a great drill. The targets are a little close for doing it, but we're going to do it anyway. I like to really spread them out and do it with my rifle, so that way you've got much more range of motion between choosing your target. So here we go. Let's go ahead and hit the buzzer. We're going to start 10 rounds. All right, that's a total of a 585. And one of the things that I really, really love about that is all 4 of those rounds, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the first one and all the other 4 were all on target. All of these are really good looking. They're all on target. And then all of these, 1, 2, 3, that completes our shooting with the Glock 43X MOS. Beautiful shooting gun. I will come back at the end of it with some final thoughts on what I thought about it and just the comparison between the two. But you know what? I got 4 more rounds left, so let's have some fun here. Boom, punch out that center. All right, I got the Shadow Systems CR920x here. This one is wearing the Hollow Sun EPS carry with the same TLR7 sub. Now, immediately, this gun feels a little bit skinnier circumference-wise in my hand, and I feel like I can get a much better purchase on the gun. But I don't know, maybe that handle it grips that's on the Glock changes a little bit of the feel. Man, I'm sweating, y'all. It's hot out here. Arkansas summer's already kicking in. But this gun, I really like it. I've been carrying it. Like I mentioned, I had a couple of malfunctions with the Winchester white box ammo, but that's also what I'm running today. So we'll see if we have any kind of issues with it. Now, again, like I mentioned, this is about the concealed carry roll. So this gun, it is a concealed carry piece. However, it does come factory with a 15-round magazine. So they did a great job with that. And this, combined with the extra magazine that I have in my holster, gives me 31 rounds of 9mm hollow points on my person, ready to go. And I feel like that's plenty of ammo to take care of any kind of concealed carry situation. So we're going to shift over to get started with the rule of 3 drill over here. 3 yards, 3 shots. .229. Here we go. Let's do it again. All right, that one was a 188. 2 shots were a little higher than I'd like, but they were still on paper. And last time, here we go. All right, a 223. No, that was a 9mm, not a 223. What am I thinking? Anyhow, so far, all shots are on target. I'm already a little bit faster with the Shadow Systems. Obviously, I've been carrying this one a little bit, so I would expect that with the training I've already put into it in order to carry it, obviously I am getting a little bit faster times. But not bad. Let's roll into the next one and see what we got here. Here we are. 5 rounds, or 5 yards, 6 rounds. Once I found that red dot, I was able to let him rip. It was a 320, a little slower, but let's see if I can get it in under 3 this time. All right, that was a 290. Let's go ahead and move into this next one, and we'll get it rocking and rolling at the 7-yard line. And we're going to do the advancing bill drill. So 7 yards, buzzer goes off, draw from concealment, advance toward target while you're shooting your 6 rounds. So let's get this set up. Here we go. Pretty good. All shots are on target. Again, that's really all I'm looking for with this. I'm not trying to be pinpoint accurate. I am trying to make sure that all of my rounds are accounted for within the black silhouette of the target. Again, we're at concealed carry distances, so I'm not trying to, you know, peg a 6-inch plate at 100 yards. That's not what I'm looking for here. All you're really looking for are, especially if you practice with a small enough target, are all your rounds on target. And that's really it. Let's run that one more time. 6 rounds while we move. All right, that was a 423. You know, you'll hear people say roll through your feet or, you know, do this specific technique, and then you end up seeing people doing this number right here, and they get the duck walk. I just tell people to walk. Just walk like you're normally walking. So when you walk, and if you got to draw your gun, you draw your gun and you keep walking. Now there's a little bit of a shift with the body, but there's not a lot. It's just enough to be able to compensate for whatever terrain you're on. So I wonder if I have enough rounds to run that one more time. I think I do. Let's run that drill one more time, and then we're going to go ahead and move into the next one. So here we go. .413, and I got a couple of them off target on that. I don't know if I stumbled over the terrain or something, but man, it's just a really good example of you've got to train. You got to keep training. It doesn't matter how often you get to shoot. There are certain fundamentals that have to be trained in order to advance in your shooting. So let's get this last drill set up. Okay, the last drill we're going to do here is going to be from 5 yards, and this is going to be our 10-round drill, where from 5 yards we shoot the first target, second target twice, 3 shots, and 4 shots. So here we go. Buzzer's ready. Let's see how we do. Had to finish him off with one last round. All right. Overall, this gun shoots really good. Let's get a closer look at both of these guns and a little bit of my thoughts on the way that they shot, just kind of the differences, minor differences between the two. I do switch to a larger gun throughout the winter, although 15 rounds is still 15 rounds, and my larger gun is still 15 rounds as well. So this could end up being a year-round carry gun, either one of these. Thank you guys for sticking around and watching the shooting portion. If there's anything that you have tips for me on, okay, I am a forever student. I love to learn. I love to hear more about you know, different techniques that are coming around the bend and different things that are advancing technologically, but also just within the gun community. So if there's anything that you've got any comments or you've got any tips or tricks for me, man, drop a comment down below. Let me know. Say, hey, man, this is what I do. This seems to work pretty good. I'd love to hear some of the different drills that you guys practice whenever you go shooting. And if you haven't already, then subscribe to the channel. I'd love for you to subscribe, hit the bell notification, and we can keep you updated every time a new video gets posted. And I'm going to try to get these videos out a little bit more frequently. As soon as roofing season calms down a little bit, I'll have more time to get videos out. But thanks again. Stick around for the tabletop review. All right, guys, well, welcome back to the tabletop review of both of these guns, the Glock 43X MOS and the Shadow Systems CR920. Shooting both of those was an absolute blast. And here we are in my garage, got them laid out on the table. It is kind of warm in here tonight, so I do have my little fan on. I apologize if that creates any kind of noise. However, I think my dog down here chewing on a water bottle might be making more noise than the fan. But these guns were so fun to shoot, guys. I'm telling you, obviously they're a micro compact, so they're designed for that concealed carry role. And they're not going to be just as fun to shoot as, say, like a Glock 17 or, you know, a full-size Shadow Systems. But they were definitely very fun to shoot, very manageable to shoot. I felt like both of them performed really well. And I don't want to spend too much time talking about my experience with them. However, there was no clear-cut winner, just purely based off of the experience. So I have a 10-point, I guess, 10-point gauge or a 10-point scale to see which one, in my opinion, was the clear-cut winner. But you can follow this scale, this gauge. You can follow it for your own personal choices, or you can make up your own. And if you're going to make up your own, drop a comment down below and let me know what kind of gauge do you use whenever you're picking a concealed carry handgun. Without further ado, I don't want to waste too much time. Let's get these guns. Let's get the camera closer so you guys can get a better look at these guns, and we'll get talking through some of the specs and some of my experiences with them as I was shooting them. So here we go. Let's get it done. All right, so hopefully you guys can get a pretty good look at those two guns there side by side. This is the Shadow Systems CR920x, not the 920, but it's the X. It's got the longer grip, and then the Glock 43X MOS. Now, initially, my initial thoughts on both of these guns, I mean, obviously they feel identical. They feel very, very nice, and I'm going to let you get a really good look at these. This one's got the handle it grips on there with the Holosun 407K. And then this one had, when I got it, it had some grip tape on it, but I pulled it off. I really like the texture that Shadow Systems did for the CR920s and the MR920s. This one has the Holosun EPS carry, as well as the Streamlight TLR7 sub. That's a really nice gun. This is the Elite version, so it does have the top slide serrations, as well as the window cuts on the slide. And first thoughts, initially, I thought that the Shadow Systems felt a little bit thinner than the Glock 43X. Let's talk through what comes with them from the factory. When you buy a Glock 43X MOS, which right now, I want to say the MSRP on this is $580 or $582 or something like that. But you can find this gun when it's in stock, factory configuration, for $485 at Academy. You're under $550 out the door for a stock base Glock 43X MOS. The gun comes with two 10-round factory plastic Glock mags. I don't know why Glock has not changed the design on this yet, but mine, I got it with a 15-round shield arms mag, which makes all the difference in the world. Being able to carry 15 rounds in a handgun. I feel like with the options that are available out there, if you're carrying less than 15 rounds, there's just too many options that are available to not carry. And I've always been of the belief that you want to carry as large of a full-size handgun that you can, a fighting-size handgun. And I don't know if, maybe my perspective is changing or something, but this is my first true micro compact gun that I initially planned on carrying. And this is the one I got because I planned on carrying the 43X MOS. And when the deal came up for me to trade my Glock 19 for this CR920X, I couldn't really pass it up because this has all the features that I wanted to do to the Glock 43X. One of the things that I was disappointed about with the Glock is the optic cut. So I wanted the 507K or the 407K. I don't care too much for like the circle dot options that the 507 offers. So the 407K with the 6 MOA dot feels like a really good concealed carry dot. And I picked that dot up for $100 with the DPP plate. So all in, I was not very vested into this gun. You know, I was under $600 for everything I have right there. And then I was going to buy the TLR7 sub, which I did before I actually got the 920. And then the 920 came along, and this became my new carry gun. As I mentioned on the range portion, I did have a couple of hiccups with some Winchester white box ammo for the 920, but I shot Winchester white box ammo today, and I didn't have any kind of issues with it. So I don't know what was the deal with that. So the MSRP on the Glock being $582, but you can find street price for around $500. The MSRP on the Shadow Systems is $940, guys. $940 for the base gun, no dot, no light. Now you can probably find them. I think I've seen them online for around $899, $879, but they're definitely going to fall around that $900 mark for your basic Glock. Well, not the basic. This is the elite version, right? This is not the foundation model, but this one's got the twisted barrel and the slide cuts and then the top slide serrations. I'm not sure if they all have top slide serrations, but I really, really love the feel of this gun. So your MSRP on this, the Glock is the clear winner, right? If you're balling on a budget and you want to be able to get a summer carry gun, your Glock 43X might be your choice. You can run this gun with stock sights, no light, and a basic holster, and you got, if you pick up a Shield Arms magazine, you get 16 rounds in the gun, and maybe you run one of these as your backup, and so you got 26 rounds. Not a bad deal for a concealed carry gun. But that is one of the downsides of the Glock. I will say that is Glock, they are shipping still with 10-round magazines. I have to go get aftermarket magazines if I want 15 rounds. Shadow Systems comes stock with 15-round magazines. So I've got these loaded, obviously, because these are my carry mags. But 15 rounds right out of the box. And no, the Shield Arms mags do not fit into the Shadow Systems. And the Shadow Systems mags do not fit into the Glock. So they're not interchangeable, just in case you were wondering that. Let's see if I can straighten my angle up here. I don't know if that helped or not, but anyway. So the clear-cut winner on the MSRP is going to be the Glock. The clear-cut winner on the magazine capacity is going to be the Shadow Systems. So far, 1 point for the Glock, 1 point for the Shadow Systems. They both have a 3.41-inch barrel, so they're identical in the barrel length. However, the overall length, the Glock is a little bit longer. So the Glock is actually 6.5 inches long, and the Shadow System is 6.37. My guess is it's that little tiny beaver tail that you see on the back of the Glock that you don't see on the back of the Shadow Systems. So I think that's what the difference is in the length there. So I would say winner on the length goes to the Shadow Systems. And then when you look at the width on the Glock is 1.10 inches wide. When you add that handle it grip on there, it's going to add a little bit of circumference, but not much. So this gun feeling a little bit thicker, I was curious about that and I checked, and this one is 1.06. So it's a little thinner, not by much, but I think it's just enough combined with the texture to give it a good feel to make it feel a little bit slimmer in my hand. And if you look at them side by side, they really don't look all that different, but you can definitely see right up here around the beaver tail where it just looks thinner, and that could be the grips that I've got on the Glock, but who knows. So I guess you could say the winner on that one would be the Shadow Systems for the thickness. It is a little bit thinner, which does make carrying in the appendix position a little bit more comfortable. Now, the Glock is 5.04 inches tall, where the Shadow Systems is 5.2 inches tall. And I think that difference is actually in the sights. Because if I line the rear sights up, you get a little bit of extra grip on that. But if I line the grip up, the slides actually match pretty much together. So I don't know, not a huge difference, but I guess you could say that the winner on that one would be the Glock for being 0.16 of an inch shorter. Now, what I wanted to do was weigh them with the 15-round magazine and the light on both, or I took the light off and weighed them without the light. But I loaded the magazines, 15 rounds. I put the same hollow points in there, so they're both 124 grain, and they weighed exactly identical, 1 pound, 10 ounces for both of them. and I actually used a food grade scale for that. So I have no doubt that those are accurate. So clear cut winner to both of them on that. Now the trigger pull, that's one of the things that Shadow Systems says, that this one has a longer trigger pull than their full size models, but it still falls right around that 4.5 to 5 pound setting, as where your Glock, your 43X, is going to come in right at 5.5 pounds. Now for me shooting them, I actually felt like the Glock was a little bit crisper, because the Shadow Systems feels like it just has a lot of take up in there. And once you get to the wall, it feels like there's a little bit of sponginess before it breaks, as where the Glock, when you pull that back, you get the wall, and then there's, excuse me, a really crisp break. Excuse me. Hiccups got me today. Excuse me. All right, so I would say that the trigger pull on that one, the winner is going to go to the Shadow Systems for being about a pound lighter. Let me get a drink of water here. All right. So one of the other things here too that really makes a huge difference is everybody that buys a Glock, they already know they're going to change the sights, because they come stock with those plastic sights, and nobody really cares for those sights. I don't really know why Glock is still shipping with plastic sights. It's not that much, Glock. At least just maybe add your Glock night sights as a factory or something. Shadow Systems, they send theirs with this blacked out rear and a nice bright green front dot sight. So for me, the clear cut winner on that one is the Shadow Systems. So like I was saying earlier about the optics cut, the Holosun 407K, I did not know I was going to need a plate to run it on the Glock 43X. I thought it was a direct mount, because I thought it would actually fit the RMSC. But apparently you can only run RMSC optics on this, or you have to get a plate. And with Shadow Systems, you can direct mount all of the Holosun K and the RMSC directly mounted to that gun. So direct mount is obviously the obvious winner. So Shadow Systems with another point on that. And when I look at this, I would say Glock has 1, 2, maybe 3 points out of 10, and Shadow Systems has the other 7. So if you're looking for a budget option, I would say go with the Glock. If you're okay with spending, upwards of $1,300, $1,400 for a concealed carry gun, maybe even upwards of $1,600, $1,700, depending on what optic you go with, what holster you go with, what belt you go with, what light you go with, if you do any aftermarket upgrades to it. So if you're okay with that, then I would highly recommend checking out the Shadow Systems CR920x. It's a phenomenal shooting gun. And, if I were to go do it all over again, I'd do exactly what I did. But if I was on a budget, I would pick up this one. And you can get this Holosun 407K for a couple $100 used. Obviously, I paid $100 for mine. And you could find one of these lights used for $100 and be all in a concealed carry package out of a Glock 43X MOS for right around $900 if you invest into a few of these. So $900 for the full package versus $1,500. It's all just a matter of preference. But for me, I'm sticking with the CR920 unless something happens and I end up having any kind of major malfunctions with it while I practice. I shoot it regularly enough that if something's going to happen, it'll happen while I'm practicing. And then I might go back to the Glock. So I'm going to hang on to the Glock for now, unless somebody offers me a really good price for it. And my overall opinion is, if you have the extra money to spend, check out the CR920X. If you're on a budget, check out the 43X MOS. Both of them are great guns. They're going to do you just fine for concealed carry. One thing that I will say is you want to get a good solid holster and belt setup. Don't try to carry in just a regular belt and a leather, cheap leather holster from the, from the local Walmart or something like that. And the other thing is make sure that you're carrying good hollow points. These are the SIG 124 grain hollow point. One of my classes that I had, a girl showed up with this, and she had her, or not this gun, but one of these, and she had her carry mag loaded with target ammo. That's a big no-no. No target ammo in your carry guns. Only carry ammo, personal defensive ammo. So hopefully this video was helpful, and I'm not going to roll to an outro. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your week. And if you have any questions or comments, drop them down below. I'd love to answer any questions about these guns. If you're contemplating one or you've already bought one, drop a comment below and let me know your experience with it. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell notification so you get notified anytime a new video comes out. And thanks for watching. Take care and God bless.